Well, howdy, folks. Happy Tuesday. I'm going to make a Persian dish today. I've made it in the past, but I've never made this for the channel. And it's a vegetable stew. It's called Ghormeh Sabzi, which means vegetable stew. There's, like every recipe, there's different versions. Some use spinach, some don't use spinach, some use fresh herbs, some use dried herbs, some use frozen herbs, some use red kidney beans, some use black eyed peas. There's just all kinds of variations. We're doing a little combo. I do put spinach in mine, not everyone does. And I'm doing a combination of fresh herbs and dried herbs. The fenugreek will be dried. They didn't have any fresh at the store. And you could buy like the frozen version of the herbs already chopped up, but they were really expensive. And, one package was 79 cents. So I'm going the cheaper route, the more time consuming, but I'm sure it'll be good. Anyway, let's get started and happy Tuesday. There are all our ingredients for today. We've got 2 pounds of stewing meat. Those are all the fresh herbs. That's my fresh spinach. We're going to need, there's the fenugreek, the turmeric, the onion, salt, pepper, kidney beans, and dried limes. So, like I said, this is a little bit of a time consuming dish, but oh my gosh, it's so good and pretty healthy for you considering it's got all those herbs in it. I hope you guys give this a try someday. If not, maybe if you live in the area, you can call me and I'll let you come over and taste it. Anyway, let's get started. All right, step one is getting some onions. I cut up one large onion and it is going to saute till the golden color. We're going to add the meat, which are small pieces, and then we're going to put in the turmeric, the salt and pepper for a bit, and then I'll show you the next step. As you can see, the onions have gotten a nice golden color, and we're now going to add the meat. We've added the meat, salt and pepper, and turmeric. Then we're going to add 3 cups of water. Then we're going to let this simmer for 30 minutes. Okay, you guys, funny story. So, I met my husband in the 80s, and he and his brother used to live in an apartment that was close to where my sister and I were living. We were living in a duplex over Moore Park Avenue. And his mom had come for a visit, and or no, I guess she hadn't come for a visit. I think it was, I asked him what his favorite dish was, and he said it was Ghormeh Sabzi. And he and his brother tried to, replicate some of the family recipes in the apartment. So they had spices and stuff. So one day I thought I'd surprise him and make him Ghormeh Sabzi. I had no recipe, I had no idea what I was doing. And apparently I used the wrong spices, but they were kind enough to eat it and make me feel better. And then I don't know, like a couple years later, Shayar's family came to live with us. It was during the Iraq and Iranian war, and his mom and dad lived with us, and his mom did all the cooking, so I didn't cook anything. But I really acquired a taste for Persian food. That's one of the reasons I really like to cook Persian food. And then every time I'd ask her for, the recipe or a measurement, she'd always say it's a little of this and a little of that, and I could never figure out how to make the recipe. So I ended up buying a cookbook, but I have gotten pretty good at the recipes. I don't usually cook Persian food for my Persian friends or family because, other than my family, because everybody's mom makes the best Persian dish, and I can't compete with that. But I'm getting pretty good. So anyway, I just thought I'd share that little tidbit with you. Cheers. All right, took me an hour to get all those stems off the vegetables, and there you go. There you see them. Now the next step is I'm going to put them in the food processor and chop them up. Then we're going to saute them. The sauteing part is very important. You need to make sure it gets to a nice dark green because that's going to really affect the flavor of the stew. So let's get started. There are all the fresh herbs that are nicely chopped up from the food processor, and then I put in the dried fenugreek. Now we're going to saute this for about 20 minutes. And the smell, oh my gosh, the whole house just smells really good. And then the meat's over here simmering. So it's going to be good. So you remember how high the pan was with all those vegetables. Look at how small they are now. This is about 20 minutes of sauteing and it's really shrunk. And the smell is just really incredible. Then you pare 6 limes. They're dried limes. You take a fork and you put holes in them. And then I've got some saffron fermenting in some hot water. And then what we're going to do is we're going to add this and this and this to the meat. And we're also going to put in some lemon juice in there and let that stew some more. By the way, I wanted to point out this is my new, one of my Christmas presents. It's a very big skillet, so you can see, and it's that Hexi clan pan. I'm trying to I'm giving them a try. I have a couple different ones, different brands, and I'll let you know which one I like. This particular brand is Lolly Kitsch, is the name of this brand. So far it's pretty good. I'm liking it so far. All right, we're gonna let this simmer for an hour. We're not gonna add in the lemon juice yet or the kidney beans. And like I said, this recipe you can use black-eyed peas. This one actually called for black-eyed peas, and they would have been dried. And since I'm using canned kidney beans, I'm definitely going to put those in towards the end because I don't want them to get mushy. So, see you in a bit. Okay, I've added the lemon juice and the kidney beans. I'm just going to let this simmer while I make the saffron rice, and that's what we'll serve this dish with. But look at the nice, it's going to be so good. Yummy. Love this. All right, the last part of this is making the rice. I'm pretty sure I've done this in the video before, but basically we boil some water. Then I rinsed a bunch of rice because I like to try to get as much starch off as possible. And we're going to put this in the water. Then we'll let this cook until, I don't know, it's just a little bit hard in the middle. So I think it's around 8 minutes, maybe. But anyway, just going to test the water here in a bit. All right, you can see the rice is cooking. A good way to kind of gauge this is as the rice gets up closer to the top, that means it's cooked through more because it becomes lighter. I set the timer for 9 minutes, and I can tell by looking at this, we're not quite there yet. So I think 9 minutes might be good. So we'll check back in a couple minutes. All right, it was pretty close to 10 minutes, and it's not all the way cooked because, the rice is going to steam for 50 minutes, and this is when we do the final cooking of the rice. So I'm going to rinse this off, drain as much water as possible, and we're going to add some oil in the pan, and I always make my tahdig with tortillas. Everybody has a personal preference. Mine's tortilla. So that's my next step. So we put a layer of oil and then we put a tortilla, and now we're going to layer our rice. So we put all the rice in, and then I used the long end of the handle and I put little steam holes in there, and now I'm going to put some saffron. Okay, we placed our saffron, then we're going to put a cloth, we're going to put the lid, then we're going to cook it on medium for 8 minutes, and then we're going to cook it on low for 50 minutes. There you go. There you go. We're going to bring these edges up so it doesn't burn. Yeah, okay. Any time now. Okay, as you can see, we put the cloth on, and the cloth is obviously underneath the lid. The lid is right here. And then we folded the edges over so the edges don't burn on the stove. And we're going to cook this for 8 minutes on medium, and then we're going to turn it down to low and cook it for 50 minutes. All right, there you have it. There is a Ghormeh Sabzi dinner made. I started this at 1:20 and it is now 6:30. So this was a 5-hour prep meal. But I guarantee you it's going to be delicious. Cheers.